My name is Kara Marshall. This is my fourth Sportsman project, and I chose to research prosthetics. A prosthetic is a medical device that makes up for missing limbs after an amputation. They could be relatively high-tech by using neurological inputs with devices implanted in the brain, or they can be low-tech, such as a peg leg. They can also vary depending if it's above a joint, below a joint, and insurance budget. Some sports-specific ones are the curved ones for running that are made of biocarbon and act like a spring, whereas there's kind of fin-like ones that are used for swimming. My research focuses that I tried to stick to during my project were the sensory inputs for neural interfaces, how 3D printing is used in prosthetics, how adaptive learning and AI are used, and prosthetics and history. Neural interfaces, or sensory input in amputations, are used by putting a transmitter in the brain and transmitters in the robotic limb that will send sensory inputs to the brain, such as if you touch an apple, it will acquire it, send it to the brain, and then you will feel it like you would in a real hand, but it is mechanical. The next thing I looked up and found about was 3D printing in prosthetics, and found that it's used a lot in customization because you can scan the limb and print something that fits it. And since no two patients are the same, the fit and function of a prosthetic would be tailored to the individual and fit properly. It also is used because it helps produce the parts faster and cheaper, making it available to a wider range of people, and can also get it to them much quicker than if it were a fully built prosthetic. Adaptive learning and AI in prosthetics is used by analyzing a user's gait, grip, and other movements such as walking up and down a set of stairs, running, stepping over things, and the smart limbs can make adjustments, providing smoother and more natural motions, and help improve balance, stability, things like that. I found a video on YouTube that explains basically the process of what happens after an amputation, how people go in, how they mold a prosthetic, and so on.
My name is Brandon Lawhorn, and I am a certified prosthetist orthotist with the Prisma Health Prosthetics and Orthotics Department. Here we do prosthetics and orthotics. Prosthetics pertaining to replacing a body part, whether that be an arm or a leg, and orthotics is an external brace that adjusts the internal anatomy. So that can range from a cranial remolding helmet for an infant with plagiocephaly or brachycephaly. It can be an ankle brace for somebody with foot drop, or that can even be a TLSO, so a spine brace for somebody that was just in an accident and had a vertebral fracture. Losing a limb on the grief scale is just underneath losing a loved one. So depending on where they're at, we have to coach them through, motivate them, reassure them. Some people need to slow it down a little bit. We'll basically pick them up from wherever they are and progress forward. To start with our patients, we will be consulted in either just prior to their surgery or just immediately after. We will be there to assure them that this is how prosthetic legs work, these are our milestones, this is our timelines, these are our important goals to focus on for now. And then about a month after their amputation, we fit a shrinker on them, and that shrinks the limb, shapes it, gets it ready for a prosthetic leg. About 2 weeks after that, we'll take a mold of their leg, and then we'll come back to our shop and we will modify that mold to put pressure on certain weight tolerant areas, remove pressure from weight intolerant areas, and just get a good, tight, accurate fit. And from there, we'll make the socket, the top piece that's custom made for the residual limb, and then we will attach the foot to it, align it correctly so all of our force vectors and biomechanical principles are correct, and then we fit the patient with what's called a check socket, which is basically a practice leg to make sure the fit's correct, we can easily adjust it, and they're walking comfortably in the socket. From that point, we will make a definitive laminated prosthesis. The foot is the same, it's just the top customized piece is a little bit more durable for them to wear for months and years on end. Here at the Prosthetics and Orthotics Department, we all work together to give our patients the best experience possible. Our front office is a very welcoming face.
I'm going to cut the video off here since the rest is talking about their orthopedics center. Another video I found that was interesting was how scientists built a rat limb or a bio limb, and how in about 10-ish years, it's estimated that we can start producing human limbs the same way. And I'll let the video explain better.
Something really wild just happened. Scientists grew a rat leg from bone and collagen in a petri dish, and it could change prosthetics forever. For most of human history, a prosthetic limb was a piece of wood or metal, roughly shaped like a hand or leg. Even through the 19th and 20th centuries, prosthetics were mainly designed to look like our natural limbs, whether or not they actually functioned like them. But we're now in a renaissance of prosthetic engineering, with devices that can do everything a natural limb does, and sometimes more. One of the early models in this new wave were cheetah blades, first worn by Amy Mullins to compete in track and field at the NCAA level. Made from carbon fiber, they harness and release energy generated by each step a person takes, the Capera springs. These are what Oscar Pistorius ran on at the 2012 Summer Olympics. Engineers have also built legs for extreme sports, like mountain biking or skiing. There's also B-Bionic, often called the Terminator hand, which has different grips and gestures that can be controlled by the flexing of various forearm muscles. Other engineers are working on something even more amazing, prosthetics that can be controlled by a user's mind. These typically work with electrodes implanted in the brain. Through training, people can learn how to activate specific brain areas that correspond to particular movements. Doctors at Massachusetts General Hospital call the rat arm creation a biolimb. They say it'll be at least a decade until we might do this with human arms. But already, we've gone from Jaime Lannister to Luke Skywalker in less than a century.
And I found some prosthetics in history that I thought were interesting. And the oldest known prosthetic are two different artificial toes from ancient Egypt called the Gario toe. I don't know how to properly say it. And it's estimated to be about 2,700 and between 3,000 years old. And then around approximately 300 years later, in Italy, an ancient Roman nobleman used a prosthetic leg known as the Capua leg. However, I could not find a picture because they were all blocked on my Chromebook. And when the Civil War came in 1860, there was a patent for a wooden leg called the hanger limb, and it was the first to use rubber in the ankle, as well as cushioning in the heel for partly done prosthetics in the foot, like if you're missing half a foot. And then during the 1900s, manufacturers started to build more functional prosthetics by, instead of using wood and leather, they would use plastic, silicone, and other artificial materials that fit better. And that was my entire research project. Thank you for watching.